Picture this. The same week Amazon told 30,000 of its own employees to pack up their desks, the company quietly committed over $100 billion to building artificial intelligence data centers. Read that again. 30,000 people lose their jobs, and the budget for giant warehouses full of computer chips goes up. That is the exact contradiction that just exploded inside Amazon's Seattle headquarters this week. Engineers, the very people who build the company's software, stood up and publicly slammed their own employer, not on some anonymous forum, in open internal meetings and signed letters. Their argument is simple and brutal. How can you tell us there is no money for jobs, while you spend more than the entire economy of a small country on machines designed to replace those same jobs? Think of it like a restaurant firing half its cooks, then spending a fortune on robot arms to flip the burgers, and telling the remaining staff to smile about it. The workers are not just angry about losing colleagues. They are watching their employer bet the entire future of the company on technology that, by Amazon's own admission, is meant to do work humans currently do. This is a story about the single biggest tension in tech right now, and Amazon just became the loudest example. So how did one of the most powerful companies on Earth end up at war with the people who keep its servers running? Let's rewind and follow the money. To understand why this blew up, you have to understand what Amazon has been doing for the past 2 years. Since the generative AI boom kicked off, Amazon has been in a spending arms race with Microsoft, Google, and Meta. The prize? Becoming the company that powers the world's AI. To do that, you need data centers. Not the old kind that stored your photos, but enormous buildings packed wall to wall with specialized chips that cost tens of thousands of dollars each. Amazon told investors it plans to spend somewhere north of $100 billion in a single year on this build-out. That is more than NASA's entire annual budget, aimed almost entirely at AI infrastructure. Now here is the other side of the ledger. Over the same stretch, Amazon has been cutting jobs in waves. Tens of thousands gone across retail, devices, and even cloud teams. The most recent round hit roughly 30,000 corporate roles. For years, management framed these cuts as trimming fat after overhiring during the pandemic. Employees mostly accepted that story, but this latest wave landed differently because it arrived at the exact moment the AI spending hit record highs. To the engineers inside, the message felt clear and cold. We will pour fortunes into machines, and we will pour out the people. The pandemic excuse no longer held. Something had shifted, and the workforce noticed. But the spark that turned quiet resentment into open revolt was something far more specific, and it came straight from the top. So what actually happened inside Amazon this week? It started with leadership being unusually honest. Amazon's chief executive, Andy Jassy, had already told staff in a memo that AI would, in his words, reduce the company's corporate workforce in the coming years. He did not hide it. He said generative AI would let Amazon do more with fewer people. For executives, that is efficiency. For an engineer reading it at their desk, that is a pink slip with a delivery date. Then came the layoffs and the data center numbers in the same breath. Engineers connected the dots out loud. In internal forums and all-hands meetings, they began asking pointed questions. If the company is rich enough to spend over $100 billion on AI hardware, why is it too poor to keep its people? Some wrote and signed open letters. Others confronted leadership directly in Seattle. Think of it like watching your boss buy a brand new fleet of trucks while telling you the company cannot afford your overtime. The cognitive whiplash is the whole story. What makes this remarkable is who is protesting. These are not warehouse workers or call center staff. These are the high-paid software engineers, the people Silicon Valley treats as untouchable royalty. When the golden children of tech start publicly accusing their employer of betraying them, it signals something deeper than one bad quarter. It signals a crack in the entire bargain that built modern tech. And that bargain is about to get very interesting. Let's make this concrete with real numbers, because the scale is genuinely hard to picture. A single one of Amazon's new AI data centers can cost billions of dollars to build and fill with chips. The graphics processors inside, many made by NVIDIA, sell for tens of thousands of dollars each, and a large facility can hold tens of thousands of them. Stack that up and you are looking at a single building worth more than most companies on the stock market. Now compare that to the human side. The 30,000 roles being cut represent salaries, yes, but to Amazon they are a line item the company wants to shrink. Here is the brutal arithmetic the engineers are pointing at. The money flowing into 1/4 of AI chips could, on paper, fund tens of thousands of jobs for years. Instead, it is going into silicon. And it is not just Amazon. Across the industry, the biggest tech firms are expected to spend somewhere around $300 billion combined this year on AI infrastructure. That is a wall of money the size of a national defense budget, all chasing the same dream. Picture every major tech company emptying its vaults at once to build the same kind of factory. The Amazon engineers are simply the first big group to stand in the middle of that stampede and shout, "Wait, what about us?" Their protest is a preview of a fight that is coming for the entire industry. But the comparison that really exposes the stakes is even sharper. Here is where it gets surprising. Amazon is not alone, and comparing it to its rivals reveals just how universal this tension has become. Microsoft has spent the past 2 years pouring tens of billions of dollars into AI through its partnership with OpenAI, and it too has quietly cut thousands of jobs. Google has done the same dance, record AI spending paired with steady layoffs. Meta openly called this its year of efficiency, slashing staff while ramping up AI superclusters. So the pattern is industry-wide. Every giant is spending like never before on machines while spending less on people. But Amazon stands out for one reason: the honesty. Where other chief executives spoke in vague corporate riddles, Amazon's leadership flatly admitted AI would shrink the workforce. That candor, meant to sound visionary to Wall Street, landed like a threat to employees. Compare two reactions. When a company hides the trade-off, workers grumble but stay quiet. When a company says it out loud, workers organize. That is exactly what happened here. The engineers were handed a clear, on-the-record reason for their fear, and they used it. Think of two poker players. One bluffs and keeps a straight face. The other shows you the winning hand and tells you to fold. Amazon showed its hand, and the people across the table did not fold. They flipped the table. That difference between a quiet trade-off and a stated one is why this particular protest is making headlines while dozens of similar layoffs passed in silence. But the deeper question is what this means for everyone watching at home. So what does this actually mean for you, even if you have never worked a day at Amazon? A lot more than you might think. What is playing out in Seattle is the opening scene of a transformation that will touch nearly every desk job in the modern economy. For decades, the deal in white-collar work was simple: get skilled, get educated, become valuable, stay safe. Software engineers sat at the very top of that ladder, the safest of the safe. If AI spending can put even them on the chopping block, no office job is automatically protected. That is the quiet earthquake here. Consider the ripple effects. When tens of thousands of high earners lose stable jobs, they spend less, which hits housing, local businesses, and entire city economies like Seattle. Amazon is one of the largest private employers in America. When it pivots from hiring humans to buying chips, the shockwave travels far beyond its own buildings. And there is a trust cost too. The engineer's real complaint is not only about money. It is about being asked to build the very tools that will replace them, with a smile, while being told there is no other way. That breaks something fundamental between worker and employer. Once the most loyal, best-paid staff stop believing the company has their back, productivity, innovation, and retention all wobble. This is the hidden bill that comes due long after the headlines fade. So the question becomes, what can an ordinary worker actually do about any of this? More than you would expect. Let's turn this into something practical, because watching giants fight is useless unless you can protect yourself. Here is how to read these AI versus jobs stories like an insider and act on them. First, watch the capital expenditure numbers, not the press releases. When a company announces record spending on AI infrastructure while talking about efficiency, that is the real signal a workforce shift is coming. The money always speaks before the memo does. Second, identify whether your role creates the AI or competes with it. Roles that build, train, and supervise these systems are far safer than roles that simply do tasks the systems can now copy. Ask honestly which side of that line you sit on, then move toward the building side. Third, treat AI as a tool you command, not a wave you wait out. The workers who thrive are the ones who learn to direct these systems. the people who can make one engineer do the work of 5. Become the person holding the controls. Fourth, build leverage outside one employer. The Amazon engineers found power in numbers, in speaking together rather than alone. Whether through professional networks, sharper skills, or simply a financial cushion, never let a single company hold all your bargaining chips. And fifth, follow the infrastructure. The dollars flowing into chips and data centers tell you exactly where the industry is betting its future. Skate to where the puck is going. The workers shouting in Seattle are not just protesting, they are handing the rest of us a map of what is coming next. The smart move is to Reddit. So here is what this all means for you going forward. Amazon's clash with its own engineers is not really a story about one company having a bad week. It is the first loud crack in the foundation of the modern tech economy, the moment the people who build the future publicly questioned whether that future has room for them. The core tension is brutally simple. The same dollars that fund artificial intelligence are increasingly the dollars that used to fund people. Amazon committing over $100 billion to AI data centers in the same season it cut 30,000 jobs is the clearest snapshot yet of where every major company is heading. Watch for this exact pattern everywhere now. Record AI spending paired with quiet layoffs is the new normal, and the companies saying it out loud are simply ahead of the ones still hiding it. The smartest thing you can do is stop being surprised by it and start positioning for it. Learn to command these tools, build your own leverage, and follow where the money flows, because that is where the jobs of the next decade will be won or lost. The engineers in Seattle drew first blood in a fight that is coming for nearly every industry. Pay attention to how it ends, because the playbook written here will be copied everywhere. If you want to stay ahead of stories like this one, follow for daily AI news. We break down the biggest moves in tech every single day. In plain English, so you are never caught off guard.